This is an epic butt whipping. This is so bad, Kendrick Perkins needs to take off that suit. This is so bad that Bob Myers, who's going to be calling the Warriors game this Wednesday when Golden State plays them, shouldn't even go back. They should postpone the game and give the Warriors about a week to recover. I ain't never seen anything like this. This ain't the end of the game. This is halftime.
I hate to say it, but the Golden State Warriors are the most confusing team in the NBA today. I mean, after taking a soul-crushing 52-point beatdown at the hands of the boys from Beantown, who would have thought that the Dubs would trash Giannis and the rest of the Bucks and turn things around just 72 hours later? Now, for the record, this isn't just any other team. This Bucks team came in ahead of their matchup with the league's best defensive rating since the All-Star break, locking their opponents to just below 110 points. And on top of this, they had also won 6 games in a row prior to their encounter with the Dubs. Anyway, the Stars came out to play in this highly anticipated matchup. However, it was the Dubs' young stud who set the tone right from tip-off by unleashing a freak of their own, Jonathan Kuminga.
Ball right there for the follow. Oh! Just Wiggins the deflection. Bajemski pushes him. One man to beat, throws it back for Kuminga.
The Warriors were so mad about the 52-point spanking they suffered against the Celtics that they let out their frustrations by racking up 40 points in the first quarter alone, and in the following quarter, the Dubs kept their foot on the pedal to build a huge 20-point lead at halftime. The Dubs' revenge tour seemed to be going all right around this point. However, Giannis and Lillard wanted to spoil their plans, and so they orchestrated a comeback to start the third.
Just tap city. Lillard got Steph on a switch. Step back three, perfect.
The Bucks managed to trim down the lead in single digits around midway through the third, but as soon as the Dubs sensed that the Bucks were closing in, another young gun showed up and denied Giannis, literally and figuratively, from taking over. Trace Jackson Davis was undeniably the star of that game.
Pull the crossover, goes right into Kuminga's shot. Jackson Davis' third rejection of Giannis. And the finish!
And the Dubs rallied behind his energy to close out the third strong. And in the final quarter, the Warriors turned the tables and put the clamps on the best defensive team since the break by holding them down to just 9 points throughout the last 12 minutes of the game, while firing on all cylinders on the other end. And when the dust settled, the Dubs came away with a 35-point victory to avenge their humiliating loss against the Celtics. After beating the Bucks into a pulp, the Warriors were expected to cruise their way without breaking a sweat in their upcoming games. But because of some bad luck and botched plays, the Dubs found themselves on the losing end of the spectrum, while scratching their heads saying, "What the hell just happened?" Now, I know you're pretty curious and want to get to the bottom of this quickly, but before that, let's push the rewind button real quick and talk about the events that happened right after the Bucks game. On the night of March 8th, the Dubs hosted the streaking Chicago Bulls, who won 4 out of their last 5 games. But see, despite all the hot momentum they were carrying, the Bulls hadn't defeated the Warriors on their home turf since January of 2015. Now, right from the get-go, the Dubs had no plans of snapping their winning streak against the Bulls, as they started out hot, outscoring the Bulls 31-25 at the end of the first quarter. However, the Bulls swerved back hard in the second quarter and gained a bit of an edge heading into halftime, 63-59. The back and forth continued in the third, and eventually the game went down to the wire. Now, as both teams slugged it out during the final stretch, something happened that changed the complexion of the game. Steph left the game with under 4 minutes left due to an ankle injury, but despite this, the Dubs kept battling and were down by 2 with 42.4 seconds left. Clay hit a big-time 3 to put the Warriors ahead.
Rises up. Bajemski is back in. Clay for 3. He got it!
The pressure was now on the Bulls' side, and on the other end, DeMar DeRozan did what he does best, and that is to deliver a big bucket at crunch time. DeRozan completed the hoop and the harm to put the Bulls back on top, and with no Steph Curry in sight for the Warriors, they put the game in the hands of their super rookie. But for some weird reason, Pods blew the potential game-tying layup. And as they say, that was all she wrote, as the Dubs bowed down to the Bulls in a heartbreaking fashion. After coming up short against the Bulls, the Dubs welcomed another visitor on their home floor. This time, it was the San Antonio Spurs, who came into the game without their key players, Devin Vassell and Victor Wembanyama. Even without Steph, this was supposed to be a cakewalk for the Dubs. But again, for some reason, the Dubs dropped the ball for the second game in a row. Kuminga was the only positive early on as he scored the first 9 points for the Dubs to finish with 26, and even though Klay chipped in 27 off the bench, the Spurs were just locked in throughout the game, building a 19-point lead at halftime, which the Dubs couldn't overcome. Now, luckily, the Dubs had a chance to redeem themselves in a rematch against the Spurs at their home floor 2 days later. And despite the Spurs playing at full force with Wemby and Vassell back in the lineup this time around, the Warriors finally had their sweet revenge. To change things up, Kerr inserted Klay for Pods in the starting lineup, and this move paid dividends quickly as he ended the night with 21 markers. Meanwhile, despite not having Steph around, CP3 stepped up and turned back the hands of time, tallying 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists. Although relegated to the bench, Pods also played well, stuffing the stat sheet with 14, 8, and 4, while the other rookie, TJD, played solid as well, racking up a double-double of 13 points and 11 rebounds to help the Dubs grab the bounce-back W. Just like that, the Warriors were seemingly back on track following their win against the Spurs. However, they failed to follow it up yet again in their next game against the Mavs. Now, one of the big reasons why they dropped this game is because aside from Steph, the Dubs also missed the services of Draymond, who sat this one out due to back soreness. Led by Kuminga's 27 points, the Warriors failed to capitalize on the Mavs' ice-cold shooting. I mean, they shot just 1 of 16 from distance before ending the night on 6 of 27. Apart from JK, TJD flirted with a double-double of 10 points and 9 boards, while Wiggins added 17 and Pods chipped in 11 to give the Dubs a fighting chance, but ultimately, there was not enough help around as the Warriors folded, 109-99. Now, at this point, you must be wondering what happened to them in that 4-game stretch, and more importantly, is this enough to sound the alarm bells for the Warriors? Well, in my view, their recent losses as of late is something not to worry about because even powerhouse teams like the Nuggets and the Celtics have also suffered some major upsets this season against scrubs and non-playoff teams. I mean, losing is just part of the game, and there are times that the weaker teams can pull an upset if they caught the contending teams on their bad day. In addition to this, I think the injury to Steph turned out to be a blessing in disguise for the Dubs, because during the time he was away, the old guys showed up and had the opportunity to contribute more than they used to. I mean, CP3 played like a point guard in their revenge win against the Spurs, and Klay had his moments as well. Now, as for the young guns, they also brought their A game while Steph was out. Kuminga is gradually turning into a superstar by putting up all-star numbers night in and night out. Meanwhile, Pods and TJD are also stepping up big time and quickly developing into reliable pieces that the Dubs can utilize down the stretch in the playoffs. All I'm saying is that even though the Dubs are 1-3 during that stretch, it has allowed the rest of the guys to amp up their game and develop their chemistry while playing without Steph. Now, from a coaching perspective, I believe that Steve Kerr took those losses as some sort of a learning experience, because if you take a closer look at each of those games, he tried some experimenting by fielding in different lineups and innovating some of their offensive sets to see which plays work and which ones don't. Overall, I think going 1 for 3 after their big win against the Bucks is just a small bump on the road for the Dubs. Because with the reasons I just mentioned, I definitely believe that the Warriors are going to come out stronger after what they went through. And in fact, they're going to be even scarier and more lethal.